final poem of that. It's called, the main poem was called Winter Counting, and this is part 5. It's called Where Two Rivers Meet. The belly is a river. The belly is a collection of stories. It is an unlearning, a letting go. It is a remembering and an offering. Trade cloth and tobacco tied to a pine in the mountains. The belly is confluent, shared histories, shared hopes. We may begin alone, but as we move across the prairie, we grow, spreading like vocabularies in all 4 directions. We are joined along the way by other bodies. This is what joy means, until we come together as one. Big water, the ocean, Matoyohki. I am still learning what it means to be vulnerable, to love and protect. I drag these lodgepole lessons behind me like a travois on my journey as brother, uncle, son, and beyond. I am clueless yet vigilant. Avulsion, when a river breaks its bank and changes course. Do Indians believe in karma? Some of us believe in friendship. Others believe we are not alone, while others believe the Creator has a plan. For now, it is enough to count the winters and hope someday justice flows like a river. This next one is a love poem. It's called The Moon of Yarrow Blooming. It's an acrostic. Yesterday, my dreams shed their winter coat and chased our coiled souls through frozen hours. Across plains, a voice seeks its mirror flame. Wolf tracks and pen marks in my heart's snow. Roots drink our longing, stems girded by hope. Your touch sows seeds boiled in earth and clay. Rise in the spring. Her white clouds bloom among sages and fescues. Her medicine, our gift. One day she will sing. One day she will stand her ground. A life that is poem and painting entwined. Walk these flowering moons with me. Love is the first rainstorm. It is the ocean below our feet. Thanks, everybody.
I wrote this poem on a different summer evening that looked a little bit different than today. Speak up. A little closer there. The quiet rattle of leaves shaking in the wind. Evening sunlight wiggling through those leaves like shimmering water in a pond. Neighbors trimming hedges, sharing news, chatting kindly. Robins swooping into the crabapple tree, the original twitter right in my front yard. Traffic on the busy street won over. It's the fecundity of midsummer, 100 shades of green breaking into 1,000 by low sun, deep shadows, grasses and weeds in every crack, reminding us that we're really not in charge here. All is moving. Leaves, grasses, branches, shadows, my digestive tract, my blood, my thoughts, the swirling atoms, the air, the sun, the planets, the galaxies. Here I am, halfway between an atom and a star, sitting still in the middle of it all. From my front porch, I can see far on a summer evening. This is a poem kind of about writing poetry, believe it or not. It's called Let Me Expand into the Abundance. Let me expand into the abundance of what time I have. As long as I live, may I follow the inner map, this longing to express a lifetime of experience and observations, not only in words, but in color and symbol and the making of marks. At its best, may what comes be inspiration to others, hope for the discouraged, maps for the searchers, and mirrors to the explorers. May the breadcrumbs I leave be a legacy of making some beauty, telling the truth, asking deep questions, even when inconvenient. An invitation to live out loud, unafraid and whole, fully ourselves. An encouragement from all. Come on, there's more of us every day. There's more of us every day. That's it.
All right, this is my first time I've done this, so here we go. File it in and fill it out. That's the name. Are you going to twist away from your former self? Are you playing all the cards sitting on a shelf? I have been the one to see, focus on the lines. People gonna tear it down, go another time. How I felt if not for free, how my purpose failed. I am going to drop it off, beaching like a whale. Let the grief be given out as you beg to prove. All the light boats going out, do you have to choose? Get away, I'll give you more than you ever had. People gonna drop it off, feeling very sad. Now I give it all away like I cannot be. Are you gonna drop it off, climbing up a tree? Get away, I knew it all, I don't speak the words. All the things they want to say, dropping like a turd. For the filth you figured out, I don't want to play. Get my mind from out of there, go the other way. How you slipped and never fell, so you start to fade. Let these people speak the truth, turning of the gray. All the times you ever had weren't quite enough. Now I put it back again, focused on the cough. Hear me now, I speak the words so you cannot see. Let the rivers flow away, off into the sea. I have given little more than I ever had. Now I'm going to speak the truth, drifting of the sand. Thank you. Got another one if I can find it here. This one's called Speak the Truth, You Lowly Mortal. I am going to put it down, gonna turn away, off to where I'm going to, going all the way. Let my mind be fire forth, I don't want to sell. Be the one to give it back, be the one to tell. How I felt if not for free, how the fortune fades. People gonna drop it off, leave it where it stays. How I felt if never there, I don't want to say. Are you gonna put it back, put it all away? Let my mind be fire freeze, let the broken fall. Off to where you're going to, going off the wall. I don't want to rip the rules out from out the mouths. I am going to speak the truth, meaning of it all. Let the grief be given free as the purpose fades, as the fire travels forth, going all the way. I have given nothing back, I don't want to sail off into another wave, sinking if you're safe. I don't want to tear the truth from your tired eyes. I just want to put it back, leave it till it dies. Then they give it all to me as the rivers branch, off into another wood, making any sense. How you give it all away, focused on the world. People gonna stop and say, give it to the cure. All the fire I felt for free, didn't want to die. I am going to tear it out, needle in the sky. Thank you.
Just appreciate being here and all the creative words that we've heard already so far tonight. Really appreciate that. So I just have a light poem that I wrote in July. My husband and I took a trip to, well, you'll find out where we went in my poem. So it's just about what we did in the summertime. And it doesn't have a name. Okay. Well, I'll call it What is Beauty? That's what I'll call it. What is beauty? Beauty in a place, in things? How can you compare? A giant, man-made, neon environment bent on taking more money than it gives, to a natural, God-created expanse of mountains, forests, geysers, and springs. I've recently been blessed to experience both, and I'm filled with wonderment for each, as well as the differences between them. Both beautiful in their own right, yet so very, very different. Las Vegas, with its many themes, slot machines, and attractions, a modern-day display of an artificial world. Yellowstone National Park, situated on a volcano with beautiful yet dangerous hot pools and paint pots, and where everyone gathers to see Old Faithful. One made by God, the other by people who God made. Both breathtaking, both experienced, both appreciated by a very thankful heart. Thank you.
I don't know if any of you have ever attended an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I'm not including you, Henry. But around the walls, they have a bunch of sayings they call adages. And so this poem actually is made up of those sayings that you see on the wall if ever you go to an AA meeting. I'm not an alcoholic myself. I'm still working on it. So anyway, this is rap. When you work for the man, you gotta do what you can to stay clean and sober all the time. If you can't pay the fine and you can't do the time, you gotta learn how to toe the line. You gotta stay clean, sober, just one day at a time. You gotta stay clean and sober, learn how to toe the line. You gotta when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, take a step in the right direction. Live and let live, forget and forgive. Seek progress, not perfection. You gotta stay clean and sober, just one day at a time. Clean and sober, let an attitude of gratitude be mine. When one is too many and 1,000 not enough, and you're hungry, lonely, and tired, you gotta think instead of drink. Keep your higher power in your mind. Gotta stay clean, sober, just one day at a time. Clean, sober, with your higher power in your mind. A great organization, by the way. You can learn a lot from how to live, from Alcoholics Anonymous. Those who know me will know that at one time in my life, I was a musician. I forgot to bring my CDs tonight. I'll bring them next time. This is called Tears for Danny Boy. Remember the days when bands had horns? The all-time good time band and all that jazz? Love songs for the ladies, hot jazz for the guys, and the Irishman who cried when you played Danny Boy. The name on the billboard has faded and gone, replaced by a scratcher with a vinyl song. Now, Mr. Isaac Newton tells us that the universe is one, the whole is the sum of its parts. Remove a single piece of it, and the whole thing collapses like a house of cards. Well then, If nothing ever can be destroyed, where does it all go? The music, the songs, the sound of the soul. Does it wash up like driftwood on some far cosmic shore, echo among galaxies, bounce off the stars? Is it stored in the memory, recalled in a dream, a vague recollection of what might have been? Does it come back to haunt you like a ghost in your ear? Or is it like Danny Boy, transformed into tears? Here's one for you. I think Cat might like this one. It's called Ad Astra. Astral traveler. Return to the place where life began, beneath the surface of the pale green water, safe within the cadence of the sea, echo of your mother's heartbeat. Emerge from the shallows onto land, first to walk, then to fly, across vast oceans, over land, above green valleys, lakes, and through electric towns, high between tall buildings, low along deserted streets, fear falling when you cross the canal, down into the black industrial waterway below. Seek out the sacred citadel, guardian of the Logos and the local law since Celtic times. Enter there the vaulted sanctuary, flanked by regimental standards, where once you sang soprano amongst the stained glass saints. Stand again before the altar, where the co-conspirators of church and state bid against you for your life and soul, without either winning. Free of the power and the glory, to ascend the transcendental steps towards that ethereal plane, where Alpha and Omega meet and Yin Yang unite, where the black countenance of God gazes impartially across the universe she gave birth to. There for you to be in a flash of cosmic light, one with all that is. Thank you so much.
So I was just here, last time I was here was in June, and I had mentioned that I had some poems published, and I managed to get a copy of the anthology that they're published in, so I'm just going to read those tonight. Just got to put my old man glasses on first. Okay, the first one's called Mother to the Stars. With silver arms and midnight hands, she pulled in outstretched reach, the lapping waves and hushed surf to bare the hidden beach. Deep from the sand, she formed a star and raised it to her breast, and nursed it dear and tenderly, just as she had the rest. She helped it grow under her touch, with wisdom she did guide. Each stage of growth, each mature phase, filled her with love inside. The time had come, it always has, for her to say goodbye. Reluctantly, she held her babe, then perched it in the sky. The next one is called Bright Face. When I look upon her face, I see divinity. When I am alone with her, I feel affinity. Silver beams caress my face, and blue rays soothing me. As she passes sleeping earth, she nods approvingly, gently guiding owl and wolf and possum, hare to see. Strength and power alone she wields to pull and bear the sea. Vacillate between life and blood in lunar harmony, as a mother to the stars, yet watching over me. The next one is called A Mother's Touch. I walked with my first daughter midst life and knowledge grown, to teach her truth and wisdom and lessons never known. I watched with anxious hoping as she took her first bite. Then under blade of flaming, I said my last goodbye. I sat there with the handmaid to calm her troubled heart, allay her casted thinking, her fears to all depart. She could not see nor hear me. I reached inside her soul, for soon she'd hold my baby, and we would share a roll. He stood in nurtured waters, I waited up above, by grace entombed and risen, and I sent down a dove. With still small voice of whisper, I solemnly decreed, this is my son beloved, in whom I am well pleased. I beckoned from the pages to come into the grove, the singing and the buzzing, his knees to them they drove. Within the fire column, I hovered as the sun. Dear Joseph, my beloved, hear counsel from my son. Just two more left. This one's called Four Births. A mother strong had birthed that day the sun, the moon, and stars. She placed each one upon the sky, the night and day apart. The waters from within her womb now baptized all the earth with rivers, oceans, lakes, and streams, all products of that birth. Another day, the mother bore all seeds of every kind, then planted them in soil enriched by water, blood entwined. Each seed grew up so mighty, strong, warmed by the sun above, and flowered, fruited, bounty grew, nourished by mother's love. On the third day from mother dear came fin and wing and paw. It is good, our mother said, as she looked out and saw the measure of creation made, each type and to each kind. But even among my children here, there's some I do not find. So on day 4, she birthed once more, and out came those like her. Her beauty, strength, persistent brains, and meekness, courage, sure. Her creation now complete, she drew her children near, the beasts, the fowl, the fish, the plants, the humans, her whole sphere. She counseled them, you all are one, through birth and life and death. You take, you give, you show respect in appetite and breath. And then she spoke specifically to those who she'd birthed last. Because you look and act like me, the torch to you I pass. To you, the role of gardener, to nurture and to grow. To you, the role of shepherd too, each beast and bird to know. To you, the keeper of the sea, to keep it full of life. To you, protector of the sky, the source of breath and light. Concluding now her courts divine, she shared a sacred truth. Your death is not the end for you, for yours a godly youth. Just as I planted seed on earth, I planted seed in you. A seed that grows with trial and curse and wisdom power its fruit. The roots that grow within your heart will reach up toward me. The branches stretching out in faith embrace eternity. Divinity is in your past, your future it entwines. For you, my children, each of you is naturally divine. And finally, this last one is called Four Trees. Once there was an orchard small of 4 trees in a row, planted by our gardener, from seedlings she did grow. Nurtured, pruned, and shepherded, a sight now to behold. Underneath their branches wide, 4 stories did unfold. Fruit upon the first was dark and light and sour sweet. Life bestowed for years on end till children wisdom eat. Blossomed mind, but death inside with flame and blade depart. Memories are buried deep, replaced by broken heart. Second tree bore bitter fruit, a painful, bloody red. Nurtured by the root of kings through weighted vine and bread. Gardener in garden dark, donating strength to will. Straightening the woolen back, the harder coming still. Third tree bare, stripped of its leaves, its shadow growing more. Howling winds and lightning flash along with thunder's roar. Piercing fruit falls to the ground, causing trembling quake. Friends and family, followers, and everyone forsake. Honey fruit on number 4 was beckoning from the page, turning keys within the locks to free the prayers from cage. Once again the gardener loomed, but this time all ablazed. With a motion of her hand, she opened heaven's rays.
So I lost my cat this week of 18 years. Her name was Boos. Loved her snuggles, missed her love bites, and I dedicate this to her. This weather really reminds me of the buffalo harvest. So we do a buffalo harvest every October on the reserve, and I guess the theme of this poem or narrative, it's kind of a working poem right now, but it talks about life and death and sacrifice and all that good stuff. So this is one of my first buffalo harvests that I went to, and that's the title of this poem, Buffalo Harvest. I waited outside with Frank for everyone to load into the van. Edna brought him coffee. She lit a smoke and sat on the steps beside me. 2 dogs, Rocco and Wally, were curled up by the entrance. It was a warm October morning, but the mountains had gotten some snow. Edna took a long drag of her smoke, then put it in the dirt and tossed the butt into a coffee can. "Geh, help me with the lunches," she said. Jess helped me load a case of water and a box of lunches into the back of the van. I liked Edna. She knew how to tease and make us laugh in a funny way, not like some of the other workers. There's a difference between teasing in a way that everyone laughs and teasing in a way that makes you feel you are being laughed at. Edna never made anyone feel that way. She also seemed to know exactly when you needed a hug. We loaded up and drove almost an hour to the elders' ranch. One by one, we got off. Frank explained to us a few times that we were going to a buffalo harvest, but I still wasn't sure what that meant exactly. As we approached the others, I saw there was a large buffalo carcass hanging from a tractor, and beside it was a flatbed truck with 2 or 3 additional buffalo carcasses that lay in a heap already skinned. Frank got off first, and then Edna, and they shook hands and hugged the group of people waiting for us. Edna opened the side of the van. "Come on, you kids, need ticket." A buffalo was hanging from the front of a large green tractor. 3 men stood near front of the tractor. Their clothes and gloved hands were stained with blood. "Watch where you walk. There's puddles of blood over here," the elder signaled to the red and clumpy puddles that were scattered around us in the dirt. It was as if there had just been a heavy rainfall of blood. To the west was a corral that had just been fenced recently with new wooden posts and wire. I decided to walk over to get a better look at the large buffalo and 2 calves that huddled together within the enclosure. I peered in and came eye to eye with the large animal. I'd never been this close to a buffalo before. I wiped the tears away quickly before the others could see me. I didn't want to seem weak. We always tease each other for crying. In a way, it's seen as a sign of weakness. But Frank and Edna are always telling us there's reasons we have tears. Creator gifted them to us so we could shed tears and cleanse ourselves when we need to. Did you know that there used to be buffalo in the millions that roamed this area? Imagine that, eh? Frank said. So what happened? Cheeto asked. They were killed off, overhunted by the settlers, explorers. I guess they thought that if they cut off our food source, us Indians would go too, Frank said. But we're still here, Sky said. Frank laughed. Yes, we are, Sky. The emotions that surfaced from being so close to the buffalo were unexpected. Gasps and commotion disrupted my gaze. I turned to witness one of the workers cut through the leg of the hanging carcass. He sliced off each hoof in a motion that was effortless and passed it to a young woman who tossed it into a pile of dark, wet fur and hooves. The eldest of the men, likely the most experienced of the butchers, sliced through the buffalo's neck, severing its head. Seeing all that blood made me sick, like the way I did when Liv first left. The massive piece dropped to the ground in a pool of dark blood, liquid dripping from its neck like cherry cough syrup. It took the strength of two men who picked it up by the horns and rested it beside another's buffalo's head. The sky suddenly grew dark with a heavy storm clouds, and it began to rain, at first a cool drizzle, then a downpour. We were offered plastic garbage bags to help us keep us dry, and I took one willingly. Tearing holes in it, I pulled it over like a poncho, but my hair and jeans were already soaked and my whole body chilled. The tractor's grinding metal chains rumbled loudly as it craned the swaying body onto the flatbed truck. "We're going to do another one," a low voice called out. Eagerly, we gathered on the north side of the corral and peered through the fence. We watched as a young man stood confidently inside the corral with the buffalo, holding the rifle like a skilled hunter. The elder stood with him, and I felt my heart pounding in my throat. I was torn between something like acceptance and sympathy. The adult buffalo got excited and paced back and forth along the fence, the calves blocking a clear shot. The man's aim stayed with the buffalo as it trotted along the fence. A collective scream came from the crowd as we dispersed, some ducking while others ran back towards the van. My ears were ringing, and I kept my hands over my ears, protecting them. "Okay, you kids need to be quiet," the man scolded us before hoisting the gun to his shoulder and taking aim. We became silent, and me and Jess watched through the gaps in the fence. The buffalo continued to pace nervously and then halted. Steady. The blast from the rifle seemed to echo across the prairie floor. A flock of geese suddenly appeared from the pale grass, panicked, and flew away. The buffalo fell over. "He's twitching out," Cheeto yelled. The buffalo's legs jerked violently for a moment. Then motionless, the animal's large glassy eyes seemed to look right at me as its spirits left. "Oh my God, that was rank," Sky muttered under her breath. "Awesome," Cheeto said and yelled out a warrior's cry. Another man went into the corral and took hold of the buffalo's hind leg, attaching it to the large chain. The elder opened the gate, allowing the tractor to drive in. Slowly, the buffalo was dragged from the corral and hoisted up in the air by its hind legs. The tractor parked in the same place where the last buffalo had been slaughtered and skinned. A silver farm pail was placed under its head. With the swift cut of the blade, the blood drained out. One of the men grabbed the buffalo's foreleg and massaged it back and forth, pumping any remaining blood into the bin. The pail was removed and the buffalo was positioned on its back, with its spine between a set of railings that were raised a foot off the ground. Another man slit through the fur along the length of the leg and began skinning the animal. The other two men joined in on either side, and within minutes, the hide was completely removed from the buffalo's underbelly. We all gasped when greenish liquid drained from its anus, dripping down its tail and onto the ground. "Must be coming from its bag," Cheeto said. The butcher who was hovering over the buffalo's head turned around to face us. "Anyone want a lick?" He joked as he flapped the massive tongue in front of us. Me and Jess screamed and stumbled backwards. Just then, the heart was removed. An old lady said something in Blackfoot. "It makes good soup." I heard Edna lean towards Frank and say, "Napequakes are doing all the cutting." "Ah," Frank said. "Wasn't always this way. This is why we have to teach these kids. They're the ones that will be doing this in the future." The buffalo was hoisted up again. The hide was completely removed. Its naked body was covered with patches of white fat and muscle. The robe was dragged to a fresh area of grass, folded neatly and taken away. A cut was made along the animal's underbelly, revealing its innards. Careful with the cut, or it will spoil the meat. The man reached inside the buffalo, slicing, cutting. A bright orange tarp was dragged over and put under the buffalo. With one solid gush, a large bloody mass spilled out onto the tarp. Drag this over to the old lady, and she'll show you how to cut it up. 3 of us dragged the tarp over the blue truck where the elderly lady got off, wrapping her head in a scarf, the way grandmas often do when there's a chill. She put on her yellow rubber gloves. "Does anyone want to try?" she asked. The weather turned and it started to drizzle. I volunteered. The old lady crouched down and told me where to cut. A rancid smell wafted upward and burned my nostrils. The old lady asked if anyone else wanted to try. I held the knife towards Sky. "No way." Her hands were up over her mouth and nose. "I'll try," Cheetah volunteered and took the knife. "Ah, that must be the stomach. Look at all that grass," he said in a muffled voice as he covered his nose and mouth with his sleeve. Small pockets of shredded grass poked out of the large balloon-like organ. The old lady directed the stomach to be dragged away and emptied. After putting on blue latex gloves, Cheeto knelt and helped drag it away. He gagged, coughing out the words, "Oh, that's rank." Edna laughed. A few feet away, the stomach was emptied and washed out near the water truck. The old woman worked hunched over the orange tarp for a while longer, then gave me a plastic bag with the liver and kidney. "Give this to Edna." The afternoon seemed to pass by quickly, and when it was time to head back, a couple of hours have passed. As we drove away, the tires spit up gravel and mud, knocking underneath the van. Edna told us that her grandpa used to have a herd of buffalo. When a calf is in danger, the rest of the buffalo will form a circle around the calf to protect it from the wolves or coyotes or any other predator. "That's what we should be doing here," she said, "protecting each other, because we are from the same tribe. We have that same blood, just like the buffalo." Thank you.
Hi. So I just have a couple short ones. They're not really musical. I could do something musical. I just wrote this part last night about the poems. So both of the poems I'm going to read tonight are about people's tantrums bleeding into my happy bubble. All is well, and I'm definitely not grudgeful, nor do I let that friction linger in me. But as always, poetry is my chosen, trusted, true method to get some nonsense I've endured out of my system. So, yeah, they're just a couple little ditties about other people's tantrums. This one, I guess for now, it's called Scowls Your Style. Here we go. Scowls your style. Flex your fragile arm in my face. You feel no disgrace. Inside I rampage. You should be ashamed, but that would take more comprehension than your brain can compose. Takes work to be a rose, and you, my so not friend, are simply compost. Make others feel small, think that's your job, spread darkness while whimpering about your victimized treatment. Fake in multiple regards, pigeonholed view. I see through your facade, lack substance in abundance. Yes, on your toddler tantrum treatment you've been called. Yes. All right, and this is another one about other people's tantrums. Here we go. I'm okay with losing friends. The wrong ones, that is. Years matter and they count. But if you bring drama to the table, don't back the connection with loyalty or fly off the handle on me. I have no time for this bond. I will sway a little. I understand the water won't always be crystal clear glass, a smooth sailing glide. But if my feet get a whiff of eggshells and you falter my stride all of the time, I take no offense if you unfriend me in one of your many adult tantrums. C'est la vie, adios, goodbye. And this is just a little side note continuation to that poem I just read. I just wrote this little bit last night. It's just a little kind of Dear Diary moment. You matter to me deeply, and we've had a very strong connection over the decades. But in the last few years, you have somehow deemed it appropriate to say hurtful things to me and raise your voice at me. It's anything but respectful. I'm here for you, and I would like to be friends again, but if you point any form of abuse or highly toxic language or actions my way, I will not be in your life or have you in mine in any capacity. And that's it. Thank you.
We're gonna get emotional here. Cat inspired me to write some very deep poems. I've been in and out of the hospital recently with my chronic pain, but we're gonna start out with some wholesome poems first. We're gonna start out with like a love poem about one of my best friends named Kiara. So it's called Kiara. You know what that song says? She acts like summer and walks like rain. Well, let me tell you about a person who is like that song. Kiara is my best friend, my darling. She is a Sunday morning sunrise, a warm cup of coffee, a tight hug when you're feeling down. She's the Band-Aid to your wounds. She's my Jack to my Sally. Her smile is like warm rain on a cold day. She's the book you don't want to put down, the song you listen to on repeat. But in the end, she's my best friend. This next one I wrote while getting poured on by the rain. It's called Younger Me. I'm the girl who dances in the rain, the girl who loves loudly. I'm the friend who won't shut up about the books I've read or the things that make me think of you. I am the girl who was never listened to as a kid, so I stay quiet, but compliment everyone I meet. I am the girl who loves daisies, who cries over rom-coms and cute animals. I am the girl, younger me, who would look up to and smile and say, I feel safe with you. And that's all I would ever want, younger me to finally feel safe.
It's nice to be here tonight. I haven't made it the last few months. Summer kind of flew by. So it's always good to be back and listening to some lovely poems. Thank you all for sharing. Even the old faithfuls and the newbies, it's always so good to hear the different types of poetry that are shared. So I have a couple for you tonight. This first one is really short, and I was out in the coulees, and I was just thinking about how summer is ending already. So I did not title this one. The death of summer arrives quickly, softly, silently, seemingly overnight. A thunderstorm of surprise that once drenched earth now lies scorched beneath the weight of her heat. And then I have another one that we had a little rain earlier, I think, and it inspired this one as well. On this gray August morning, with the parched earth soaking in the droplets of life falling from the sky, I miss your presence in my life. As notes from the piano caress the inner linings of my soul, as dreams from last night's slumber uncurl themselves from the shadows, I remember how it felt to sit with your hand on my knee, gazing into the same gray of your eyes as these August skies. And this one, there's a poet on Instagram that I follow, and she had given us some poetry prompts, and I don't usually like writing from poetry prompts because I kind of struggle with it, but the prompts she gave us were song titles of Taylor Swift songs, and so of course I was inspired to write one for myself. So this one is Love of My Life. Hold me down, break me open, how violent of you. Ease me down onto a bed of silk as I open for your whispered caress. Aren't you tired of the chaos of it all? If I am the love of your life, then drink me like your last chance of water in this Sahara desert of love. Savor me, revere me, covet me, treasure me. Don't split my skin and bleed me dry until we both die from the heat of your burning desire. Love me with a forever that doesn't end so soon. Love me with a forever that doesn't end in the loss of my life.
I'm going to read two poems. The first poem is, the name of the poem is I Call Them Someone. I shot someone yesterday, and I call them someone because I don't know if they were a man or a woman. Someone because I don't know if they were young or they were old. Someone because I don't know if they were white or black or yellow or orange. Someone because I didn't know if they were a father, a son, a mother, a daughter, a brother, a sister, or an aunt or an uncle. Someone because I don't know if they were a Baptist or a Presbyterian or a Catholic. I don't know much about someone. But what I do know is that they drove a burgundy, late model Toyota Camry. And they cut me off. Thank you. Where's Hali? Hali, are you here? Hali, I'm very sorry to hear about your cat. Okay? My second poem is about a cat. Are there any Nobel Prize-winning physicists here tonight? Oh, there we go. In the 1930s, there was a physicist. His name was Erwin Schrödinger, and he became quite famous in so far as he constructed a theory that involved Schrödinger's cat. It involved a cat, and the cat, in his thought experiment, was suspended between living and not living. And I'm going to read the poem about that. Somewhere between the inside and the outside, if you listened very carefully, you could hear a purr. It was faint. It was only the ambient sound of the apparatus, perhaps. We all stood around the box with our white lab coats and our slide rules, and we poked it and prodded it. We took its weight, we took its temperature, and we carefully analyzed all of the data. We counted out the ticks on the Geiger counter. I wasn't quite prepared tonight, but we'll get through it. And we took some careful measurements that we thought should shed some light on this. while Schrodinger's cat in the box simply hung in the ballast, watching us and grinned. Thank you.
First of all, thank you all for coming. No flash photography or autographs, please. I'm very uncomfortable with that. I wasn't expecting to do this, and the 2 haikus were actually written tonight as I was sitting at my table. So here we go. Yeah, it is a flex. First one is a bit more serious to appease a friend of mine that said poems can't be funny, so I felt I should at least give him, throw him a bone or something. Okay, here we goes. Okay. It's actually very apt for how I'm feeling right now. Knotted in terror, I melt forward anyway. Diluted, filtered. It's the first one. Next one is for another friend that we share a mutual story with a third person, and I think she'll pick up on it. Strange goddess, stay back. Feelings of warm belonging, but can't commit. True. Thank you. And this last one is an entirely different departure from the other two. It was a joke that I made when I was very young on a road trip with my family. We were all trying to pass the time on a 9-hour drive to Saskatchewan and coming up with funny things to tell each other. So I made this limerick over the course of 3 hours of dead highway, tumbleweeds, and broken AC. There once was a man from Wadena whom had an incredible wiener. He fell in the mud, the man yelled out crud, and now his wiener's a leaner. Thank you.
That's going to be a tough one to follow. So I've got 2 I'll be sharing with everybody. This first one's about identity. I seen Michael Jackson do the moonwalk. Am I black enough? I got followed around the store. Am I black enough? My cousin's in a gang. Am I black enough? You say I'm whitewashed. Am I black enough? A lady clutched her purse while I was in the elevator. Am I black enough? I got harassed by the police. Am I black enough? I've seen Martin Luther's speech twice. Am I black enough? Too white, too black, am I enough? Not black enough, not white enough, am I enough? How do I identify? Why do I weep when my people cry? Isn't race a made-up lie? When I hear racial slurs, I want to die. How do I identify? Isn't race a made-up lie? How do I identify? And then this next one's about a toxic relationship. I would chew glass for you if you asked. With a willing, soon-to-be-cut smile, I would accept your request. My mechanistic soul would gladly grind shards to sand. I'd lick your love off a knife to be enough for you, even if I'd never be enough for me. The depth of my love is measured in a river of blood, cascading from my veins. At my own expense, the affection I project reflects from my impenetrable heart like a reflex built into a broken by design soul. As the red water spills out onto the floor for all to see, there is no remedy, no recourse, no redemption. I am hung dry with nothing left to give. Like a squeezed lemon, only worthless bitterness remains. With bleeding gums raw from your disregard, I see you as you really are, a reckless soul, agonized by cynical torment, looking for salvation within someone too broken to fix you.
This poem is called Extension. When we met, I didn't know who I was, didn't know what I wanted. That night, I only knew that I wanted you. So I pursued. When I came over for the first time, I had no expectations for what may happen, and everything happened. Drunken kisses filled with endless longing. That night, you only knew that you wanted me, and I only knew that I wanted you. When we met, you didn't know who you were. Working long nights, only fueled by White Russians and old-style Pilsner, malnourished, lonely, and unloved. You were convinced you did know, though. You always thought you had it all figured out. And then I came and pursued you. I fed you, kept you company, and I loved you more than anyone ever had. I gave you a reason. You once said our love was like ecstasy. Those sweat-filled days and nights, hour-long conversations. I couldn't get enough of your smile, and you always knew how to make me laugh. We always knew things had to end. We always knew we couldn't keep going like this forever, but time passed so fast when I was with you. And the day dawned on us, the perspective of half of the world dividing us. So I made a choice. I chose you. I didn't know who I was before I met you, and when I met you, I really thought I knew that all I ever wanted to be was an extension of you. 3 months we were apart, 3 months tearing apart my heart, not working, only fueled by White Russians and old-style Pilsners, living for the 1 hour each day that I got to hear your voice. You never struggled as much as I did. Having my love was enough for you. It gave you all the purpose you needed. You wouldn't even pay $500 for a plane ticket. So I paid. I truly thought all I ever wanted to be was an extension of you. I chose a life by your side, and you also made a choice. You chose a life 2-hour car drive away from me, no license, no car. I was crying and drinking through the weeks, longing for the weekends I got to see you, praying they wouldn't take the car away. You always thought it was no big deal, always tried to calm me down, told me that I was choosing misery, that there are so many good things to see, and I nodded and wiped away the tears. And then something inside of me died. Our future flushed down the toilet, and it broke your heart. I think that was the first time I ever saw tears in your eyes. And it broke my heart more than flushing down that clump of cells ever could have. But I didn't ever tell you that. I don't know if that changed the life you wanted. I don't know what changed. I know you finally chose me. We found our own place, all my love and longing, all my tears were leading up to this moment. I saw us sitting on a lawn with our kids running around, and I knew no love was ever greater than ours. And then I realized, love couldn't save us. Love couldn't cure you. You were destroying yourself, and all I had been for the past 2 years was an extension of you. I was destroyed. And you weren't able to fix me this time, weren't able to talk me out of my misery this time, because suddenly I knew my misery was you. So I went and I spelled all my sorrows to you. You said you would change, but we both knew that wasn't true. We laid in each other's arms, spilling tears filled with memories and endless love. I became an extension of you. You are the reason I'm here, the reason I am who I am. You shaped me like a clump of clay. A part of me will always be with you. I will never not have a part of you with me, because truly I am you. And sometimes I think, what if our future wasn't flushed down the toilet that one night? What would have been?
I have 2 poems for you, and then I'd like to read my thank you notes. And I don't know which one to start with. I think I'm going to start one that I'm dedicating to Alix and all the rest of the boys and girls. And when I first wrote this poem, it was addressed to girls. And then I realized it didn't just happen to girls, it happened to a lot of boys too. 1,000 tears. We cried 1,000 tears for the girls and the boys who were abused and wish their innocence were not ripped away from them. Their scars are deep and may never heal. Their broken hearts may never be unbroken. Their nightmares may never stop, and they may never be able to trust. So we cry 1,000 more tears, and then 1,000 more. We reach out and unite in solidarity. We speak words that heal and come from a loving place. We respect boundaries and cherish each other. We stand strong and tall and send a solid no to those who intrude. And the second poem, I have to read a little bit of backstory to it. I was at the lake with my friend Cheryl, and we were walking into the lake with our boogie boards. And I like to just slide onto mine, and I don't like to make waves because I don't like getting my hair wet. But she just goes and jumps right on it and makes a lot of waves. And I said, don't make any waves. And then we looked at each other and we laughed. And I said, I think there's a poem coming here. And sure enough, there was a poem. There's another part in the poem, and that is also based on a true story. When I was in a very awkward situation, this guy walked up to me, young little punk, and he looked at me and he said, "You're just a woman. I am bigger than you." And I didn't react to him, but I was standing across from another young guy that I was talking with, and just quietly I said to the guy, "Yes, you're a bigger prick than me." All right, now the poem. Clean language, Ryan, from here on. Don't make waves. Don't make waves. Don't rock the boat. You are a woman. Be there for everyone. Take care of all the problems. Do what everyone expects you to do. Ignore all your needs. You are only a woman. Everyone else's needs are more important than yours. Wake up, woman. Take care of your needs. They are important. Be as kind and caring to yourself as you are to others. When you make decisions about who to serve, consider your needs. Wake up, woman. Make waves. Ask questions. Clarify when unclear. You deserve answers. Ask for help. Don't do everything on your own. Take time to relax. Learn new things. Teach. Wake up, woman. Life is a very short dream. And now my thank you notes, and I always have to read them to make sure I don't forget anybody. In case you haven't figured it out yet, I'm a bit of a scattered brain. We love you. Thank you. Many thanks to Braden and the rest of the staff at the Owl for their awesome venue and excellent service. Thanks to Ryan from Rogers for recording, editing our event, for broadcasting it and posting it on YouTube. Thank you to our sponsor, Grandma Tina. And I don't know if you guys saw her. She's this cute little lady with gray hair and a bun, and she's funny as hell. She's our sponsor. So please give her some owl love. Thanks to Cat for being my co-pilot and her help ironing the kinks out and doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. She seriously stops me from killing some people. So please give her some love. Thanks to all of you poets for participating, and our audiences here at the Owl. And you three newbies, only 2 of you are left. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this crazy group here. And thank you to our Rogers audiences for watching us on cable TV and on YouTube. See you all on Wednesday, September 25th. Our open mics are every 4th Wednesday of the month. Upcoming dates, September 25th, October 23rd, November 22nd, and December 18th. In December, we're going to the 18th, which is the 3rd Wednesday, because the 4th would be Christmas Day. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great night and drive safe.